my fellow oddities, and welcome to a new video. Now, it's been a while since we had any news for the next live-action Mortal Kombat film, the sequel to the controversial 2021 movie. The last news I can remember hearing for it was that it was wrapping up filming and getting ready for post-production, meaning more than likely we'll get a trailer by the end of the year. In fact, I'm pretty sure Todd Gardner may have confirmed it on Twitter, and the film will most likely release in 2025. So with that, I want to talk about what this movie needs to be successful. Not necessarily what it needs to make me personally like the movie, but what's going to help it both financially and critically, because as we all know, the first movie was pretty split within the fan base, and I'd say the majority of fans probably leans towards not liking it very much. So how can we make sure that the second film doesn't go down the same path or worse? Well, here are the top 10 things that Mortal Kombat 2 needs to succeed. Now remember that this movie is in post-production, which means a lot of the stuff I'm going to be talking about in this video have already been done or not done, so this isn't me telling the producers, the directors, the writers, or whatever what to do. This is more so just me talking about the criteria that I believe the film needs to meet in order to be successful in comparison to the first one. Now, let's get started. Number 10, don't give away too much in the marketing. Now this one could be considered a little counterproductive, as not showing a lot of the big moments or plot points within the trailers could lead to less interest in the build-up, but I believe that showing character deaths, plot reveals, and even just little things like Easter eggs could ruin the experience for a lot of people who want to have that first experience within the movie theater. And for non-fans, it could make them a little less interested in the movie because it feels like they've already seen everything it has to offer. There's no mystery there. You have to provide some level of intrigue there, and the first movie just didn't do that with its trailers, showing all the character deaths, which meant they also showed all the fatalities that would drive most of the casual fans to see the movie in the first place, all the Easter eggs, even the full opening scene of the movie. Like, I get how that could intrigue certain fans, especially the more hardcore ones that, you know, have been burned in the past and kind of want to know what they're getting into, but for everyone else, I just feel like, especially when it's coming out on HBO Max on the same day, people aren't going to have that same drive to want to see the movie as soon as possible on the biggest possible screen. So when Cole Young brutally dies within the first 5 minutes of the movie, maybe don't show that in the trailers, because then the happiness felt by millions of Mortal Kombat fans all across the world will be just that bit more heartfelt and genuine in that moment. And it may even trick fans into liking the movie, even if the rest of it is garbage. Number 9, different costumes. This one isn't just for this sequel specifically, but something that I want to see going forward throughout the rest of the Mortal Kombat cinematic universe. And it's one of my favorite things about the whole franchise, which you can probably tell if you take one look at my channel, and that is the abundance of costumes and different designs for all the characters that they get with each game. Well, I want the same thing to apply to the movies, and that's not at all saying that the first one's designs are bad at all. In fact, far from it in a lot of cases. But I think if you want to give that Mortal Kombat feel, you just gotta switch it up with each movie. And it does give an opportunity to improve on some of these outfits, as well as make them fit what I'm going to assume is gonna be a tone shift in this second movie compared to the first. Making the costumes more vibrant and, of course, game accurate would really help. I think giving Liu Kang that outfit he had in that one scene with Kano from the first one would be really great, especially if you give him the headband and maybe some Mortal Kombat 2 inspired red patterns on the pants. Shang Tsung also probably needs a new design, because the one from the first one just isn't exactly great for martial arts, and I'm assuming he's gonna actually fight in this second movie. Number 8, Benjamin Wallfisch back as a composer. I mean, this one's a no-brainer for me. This dude made the first movie score, and it was amazing in my opinion, but you know, of course, everyone just wants to hear Techno Syndrome 24/7, so they didn't really give him credit, but he really made a great modernization of Mortal Kombat's classic music and making it feel more cinematic within the first movie's tone. Some of my personal favorite tracks are Kano vs. Reptile, Goro, The Tournament, I Am Scorpion, and we fight as one. Honestly, I don't have too much to advise for this one. Just hire him, let him do his thing, and please don't play Techno Syndrome every 5 seconds. I understand that's what the casuals want, but it would get really annoying really quickly. Number 7, better scripting and direction for fight scenes. A lot of people think the fights from the first movie were bad, and I certainly don't agree with that, but I do agree that they were a little disappointing, at least when Joe Taslim and Hiroyuki Sanada were not on screen, because I think it's literally impossible for them to be in a bad fight. A lot of people criticize the quick cut editing and the sort of obvious choreography, but I don't even really have a problem with all that stuff. My issue is that they're just not memorable. Like, I couldn't see little kids looking at these fight scenes and then going off and recreating them down to the exact moves and hits and reactions, and please tell me it wasn't just me who did that. What these fights need are better scripting and, a little less importantly, but still important, better directing. I need the script for these fight scenes to be more than just fight. And that's it. You've got to have specific moments there. Like, a great example is the Scorpion versus Sub-Zero fight at the end of the movie where Sub-Zero slashes him. The blood goes up in the air, he freezes the blood, he stabs him, then he makes an ice wall and throws him into it. That's the kind of scripting you need in order to make these fights memorable, and what do you know? That's the best fight scene in the movie. I remember when that moment was in the trailer and every reaction channel freaked out about it. 'Cause it was awesome. And they should do it more. Having those shocking or just cool moments are way more important to creating a memorable fight scene than having the actors do 500 takes doing the same thing over and over again so they can get the exact movements down of each punch and kick. That's just unnecessary. We just need them to do cool stuff, alright? And we're happy. Number 6, diverse locations from the games. Looking back at the first movie, within its almost 2 hours of runtime, it spends about 1 minute in an iconic location from the game. That's kind of crazy. That, of course, is the pit, where Jax and Reiko fight, but they don't even do the iconic fatality associated with it. Yeah, we really need to fix this for Mortal Kombat 2. In the first film, most of it is spent at Raiden's temple, which looks nothing how it does in the game, and although I still think it's a cool set piece, I want to see Mortal Kombat stuff. Same thing with Outworld and its large landscapes and stuff. It's awesome that they did on-location filming and it looks cool, but it doesn't really feel like Outworld because it doesn't have any of Outworld's iconic features, such as the purple sky, or anything for that matter. It's literally just a landscape of nothing. In the second one, not only do I want more diversity, as in not spending the whole movie at one place, but also I want at least 3 or 4 iconic pulls from the actual games, and if we get more than that, hooray, even better. Now, I do believe on Twitter we have had some hints towards the Deadpool being in the movie, which is an awesome start, but they cannot, and I stress this, they cannot not have one of the characters fall into the acid and melt to death, okay? Because if they don't, what are we even doing here? Number 5, no unnecessary characters. What I mean by this is that most of the characters from the first movie made sense to be there. All the characters from the first Mortal Kombat game obviously should be included, but Johnny Cage wasn't there. Still not sure what was up with that, but okay. And then you have some Mortal Kombat 2 ones like, okay, Jax, Kung Lao, you know, they're picking people who make sense. Even Cabal from Mortal Kombat 3 makes sense within the story because he actually does stuff that progresses the story. But then you have people like Melina, like Reiko, like Nitara, who are just there. Like, we're just pulled from random games just to exist, and then of course die and just be fatality fodder. These fatalities don't mean anything if they don't happen to characters that have mattered and have made impacts within the story. Otherwise, it's just mindless violence. And yeah, people might be upset that important characters die, but this is Mortal Kombat.
Death is only another portal.
I don't think there's any reason, and it doesn't make anyone happy to just pull in random 3D era characters, or just characters in general, just to do nothing and then die. So for the second movie, make sure everyone has a necessary place within the story and makes an impact, and then you can brutally dismember and mutilate them. Number 4, do not acknowledge Arana. Obviously, one of the big criticisms from the first movie, specifically from fans, was Arana. The way that the characters get their powers, which they have to like unlock through emotional methods and stuff. And most people, including myself, thought it was stupid, unnecessary, and just needlessly complicated. Either let the characters get their powers the way they do in the games, or just let them have their powers. Not everything needs an explanation, just have them do their iconic moves, and we're happy. We do not, and I repeat, we do not need Baraka's Arana being his arm blades, okay? That's dumb. We do not need to hear about how Jade used to be a stripper and that's why she has a pole. That's really dumb. But at the same time, I don't want them to try and undo or retcon what they established in the first movie. Please just let Arana be whatever it was in the past and ignore that it ever happened. Because trying to create a stupid explanation for why another stupid explanation for something doesn't exist anymore is just going to make things even more needlessly complicated and create even more plot holes that Mortal Kombat fans just don't want to deal with anymore. Number 3, Liu Kang as the main character. This one is big. The main character of Mortal Kombat should be the main character of Mortal Kombat, and that is Liu Kang. Ludi Lin, I think, is a great casting for him, but I feel like he was only great in little spurts in the first movie because he was mostly directed to be very stoic and like unfeeling, which is just not how the character is normally. That's how a lot of people who are casuals mistake the character to be, but it's just not how he is. And so I feel like he was just held back in his performance by probably the director. And also having this plank of wood to act beside probably didn't help. They should explore Liu Kang's character and his feelings after the first movie with his cousin and best friend and Kung Lao dying right in front of him. Even explore how he feels guilty for not stepping in to save him. And you should also probably give an explanation as to why he didn't step in to save him, because if you don't, he really just stood there and watched. I want to see an angrier, more motivated Liu. Almost like the 1995 movie, but a little less silly and a little more subtle. I think they should definitely take inspiration from some of the more emotional aspects, especially at the end of that movie. What do you mean? I'm not crying. I don't cry. Also, I think I've said this before, but they have to have a scene where Shang Tsung turns into Kung Lao to taunt Liu. That would just be perfect. Just perfect, down to the last minute detail. Listen, guys. I would accept Cole Young surviving this movie if it meant Liu Kang got to take the front seat. I wouldn't be happy, okay? I'd still be quite annoyed, but I'd give it a pass as long as Liu Kang has at least twice the amount of screen time and dialogue. If it's not that, then the movie goes to hell. Number 2. Focus on the tournament. This one is obvious. One of the most prevalent criticisms from the first movie was that in a movie titled Mortal Kombat, there was no Mortal Kombat tournament. And while I personally enjoyed the little prequel story they had going on, I can understand why a lot of people just want to see that classic storyline adapted. Especially since, when was the last time we had a really focused adaptation of the original tournament? I mean, there was Scorpion's Revenge, which, started off as a tournament, but then kind of devolved into like this battle royale type of thing where the first person to get to Goro was the one who fought him, and it was just kind of weird. Then there was Mortal Kombat 9, but the original tournament section of that game was by far the shortest in comparison to the Mortal Kombat 2 tournament and the Invasion, and it also wasn't that focused. It was kind of just two people in a room don't like each other, then Shang Tsung pops out of thin air and goes, "What is this? A challenge?" So really, 1995 is the only structured adaptation of the original game's tournament, so I can definitely understand why almost 30 years later, when 2021 came out, a lot of people were upset, because it was supposed to be the big return to form for live-action Mortal Kombat movies, and it just opted to do something completely different. Especially when, I'm pretty sure no one said that the movie wouldn't have a tournament, until the movie was already out, which is just false advertising at that point. So Mortal Kombat 2 definitely needs a tournament, and hip hip hooray, we already know that we're gonna get one, so no concern there. But it needs to be structured, and I'm not saying that the movie needs to waste minutes and minutes of runtime expositioning about why the rules are the way they are, or the structure of the brackets and stuff. We don't care that much, but we need to have some sort of sense of where we're going, the flow of each fight. We need to know what the consequences are for each fight leading up to the Goro one. Oh yeah. Number 1, go all out on Mortal Kombat. These movies are always scared of adapting the source material too closely, and it's understandable because games and movies are different mediums and have different ways of telling their story, and they don't want to alienate non-fans. But there are clearly ways to get around this that have been used before. Do you guys think Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and FNAF were successful because they aimed their story and marketing at casuals? Hell no. These two films went all out with the fan service. And yeah, these two films went all out with the fan service. And while yeah, they had to compact a few things just to make it make sense for a movie, at the end of the day, they made it very, very obvious that they were a direct adaptation of the games. And I think that's what Mortal Kombat needs as well. Every single character or plot point from these two movies at least took inspiration, but in most cases were just directly pulled from the games. I think Mortal Kombat 2 has to do this as well. Do you guys think the original Sonic design would have gone down well? No, it wouldn't have. Just having it in one trailer almost broke the internet. And so having that final design really helped those two movies be received much, much better. And I think Mortal Kombat 2 has an opportunity to do the same thing, especially if they go with more vibrant colors, especially like the original game version of Mortal Kombat 2. And, you know, doing what I said earlier with the iconic set pieces. If they can do what Welcome to Raccoon City, the Resident Evil movie, did with its set pieces, which had like the RPD station and the Spencer Mansion pulled directly from the first two Resident Evil games, that would be amazing. If it could have like one-to-one recreations like that, that would be perfect. And also, not just visually, but also just within the tone and the dialogue in the movie, have the characters say the things they do in the games. And have them keep doing the weird flawless victory, shing, fatality. Have them keep doing that stuff, even though in the games, technically it's just a voice just from the heavens. I think it's cool when the characters say it themselves, all right? I know it's kind of corny at the same time, but I like it, all right? And I don't care what other people think. Have characters have one-to-one costumes, even just the background characters, like the hooded dudes in that one Portal stage, or just having like Blaze and Hornbuckle in the background of the Pit 2 stage, and have it be the Pit 2 and not just the Pit from the first movie, just back again. No, specifically call it the Pit 2 and have it be an entirely new place, because that would be awesome and very accurate to the games. And also the attacks, the moves, the fatality, stuff like that. Make them as accurate as possible. And oh my god, fill the movie with Easter eggs. All right, fill it to the brim like it's Easter. All right. Of course, I'm not just saying inject the movie with all style and no substance. Obviously, you have to strike a balance there. And even if you can make them help each other out, like have the style just make the substance even better, because you're watching something that makes you feel the way that the games did, and also looks and acts the way that the games do, like, it'll really help fans a lot. Actually, now that I think about it, as my final closing off note, I want to say what this movie really needs to do, above all else, is that it needs to do for its first movie what the Mortal Kombat 2 game did for the original Mortal Kombat game. And that's take these somewhat incomplete characters and turn them into their full selves. Further the story into something with more personality, more action, more gore, but also a little bit more silliness, but self-aware silliness so it doesn't become a parody of itself. This is the way to go above all else for this movie, or at least it's what I do. But you guys let me know, what do you guys think Mortal Kombat 2 needs to be successful? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, make sure to check out the links in the description to my merch store, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, give this video a like to show your support, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to know when I upload next. And with that being said, that's it for this video, my fellow oddities. I'll see you next time.